where we uncover the mysteries that lie just beneath the veil of the ordinary. Today we're diving into one of the most chilling and widely reported phenomenon in the paranormal world, shadow people. Joining us is none other than Heidi Hollis, the trailblazing author who first introduced the world to shadow people back in 1997, and her groundbreaking book, the #1 Amazon bestseller in Unexplained Mysteries in Parapsychology, didn't just name the phenomenon, it defined it. Heidi has since become one of the world leaders in shadow people and equally terrifying hat people. In this episode, we're going to explore the origins of the dark entities, their connections to UFOs and other paranormal activities, and the ancient battle between the good and the evil that's happening right now in our skies and in our homes. Get ready for a mind-opening conversation that just might change the way you see the shadows in your room at night. I'm Tony Sweet with Truth Be Told. Please welcome back to the Truth Be Told studios, best-selling author Heidi Hollis. Hi, Heidi. Welcome back.
Thanks, Tony. That was a great introduction. It's awesome to be back with you here.
It's been a while, but like I said, you haven't changed other than just writing more books. I mean, other than
Right? Yeah.
you got the arthritis from from typing.
Not yet.
Not yet. Well, good. Well, with Truth Be Told, we love all types of mystery and paranormal and things that we still are unexplained. And you've been on the show, and we've talked before about shadow people. And but I thought I'd bring you back to talk about the book, The Secret War, and about a true story about a real alien war and shadow people. And I'm going to just dive right in. Your book actually opens the readers up to the hidden war between good and evil. And I want to start there because that almost sounds like a religious experience also. But can you explain what led you to this understanding, and when did you begin to feel this unseen battle was actually real?
It's such a long story and so much to dive into. I'll do it as fast as I can.
Take your time.
But a lot of people are just like, oh, she's just too positive and happy. Like, this is a great thing. And I'm like, that's just my personality. I'm just that type of person. And I try to squeeze a lot in at once. For myself, I was experiencing a lot of strange things.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in a haunted house. I'd seen some things. My family's seen some things. And when I got into college, it continued. I got my own place, got a college roommate, and we were experiencing some oddities. I'd experienced what I call the head and shoulder shadow-looking thing. I didn't know what I was looking at. Another one of my college friends had been experiencing it for years since she was a kid. I didn't know what I was dealing with. All I know is it was like a contagion. And I started seeing shadow spiders as well.
Oh, wow.
Hate spiders. Hate spiders. I was waking up all of a sudden screaming at the top of my lungs, like, get them off me. And other times I'd wake up and I'd see like a massive spider with the rows of eyes just within inches of my face, waking up to that. Yeah. And I'm like, how are you going to kill that? It's like a man-eating size spider. And other times I'd take up my whole ceiling and drop on my bed.
Oh my God.
And it would wake me up.
You're getting my arm hair going.
It was horrifying. And I'm like running around trying to find something to squish this thing. It was horrible. I did not know what I was dealing with. And it wasn't until I got another apartment, got a college roommate, and she was very religious, Pentecostal, didn't cut her hair, the big skirts, the whole thing. And, you are just possessed and you're dealing with demons. And I'd seen a lot of UFOs up until that point, by the way, as well. And even have a craft that would respond to me.
Oh.
It was
wow.
Strange. I didn't know what to think about all that. And, and she was being so religious. I had there was a UFO group that I was attending at the time, and the place was pretty close. And I wanted to bring some of the friends over, and she was freaking out, like, oh, these possessed people, and it was bad. It was bad. But then one day she went to a different college than I did, and she calls me in a panic. It was broad daylight, and she's like, Heidi, something jumped on the hood of my car, and I'm like, what? It's just like, and it's chased me into the school, and I am not following what she's saying. Long story short, because I gotta squish a lot into this, we go to meet up later, right? And sitting in my car, and she starts expressing to me how she was driving in broad daylight in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, through downtown, and this sparkly gel-like creature jumped on the hood of her car and pushed its head through her windshield without breaking it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, did you freak out? Did you have an accident? Or, she said, no, it had a real calming effect to it. And automatically, like, I felt so at ease, like I felt like I could ask it questions. And she just started asking, who are you? What are you doing here, type of thing. And it started saying, I'm here to introduce who's to come. And she's not following what it's asking. And as she's talking to me, she goes, Heidi, I feel like I just need to meditate. I'm like, meditate? What do you mean? I'm sitting here in my car. And I'm like, you want me to get out of the car? She closes her eyes, and just for a few seconds, and she was Puerto Rican. She had a very heavy accent, and she had a speech impediment as well. No. And all of a sudden, this voice comes from her with a reduced accent, and it says, I've been waiting to speak to you for a very long time. And I'm like, Samantha? What is going on? And it's
right.
like, oh, this is not Samantha. And I'm like, okay. And I'm going through all the emotions, like, she playing a prank on me? Like, boy, she, hold on, that's the Pentecostal person that would never dare talk about anything that wasn't in the Bible. And this voice, was just, it was so distinctively not her, her voice, yes, but, just different the way she was talking. And long story short, again, this I'm saying, who are you? Where are you at? And, well, I'm what you would call an alien. Oh, an alien. Okay. And I'm playing along, like, where are you? And it goes on to describe that I'm in a ship very high up. And I'm like, well, can you show yourself? Now, I'd had been in situations where I'd seen people who got hypnotically regressed, and instead of, and they had alien abduction stories, and instead of dictating what's happening to them, like the being would talk through them. Hey, we are
almost like a possession in a way.
Well, they wouldn't say it's that. It's more like a technology, and that was the case for my friend. That's how she would describe it too. She was a person that meditated. I didn't know, but her prayers kind of resembled meditation, and there just happened to be a being that would meet her there.
Wow.
And as she's carrying on talking about this, I'm asking to show the ship, and it said, well, we cannot come down as low as we used to because your governments know how to shoot us down now. And then I'm like, oh, how convenient. And then it offers, but I think I'm close enough to project an image of myself. And I'm like, I'm processing that when the car starts humming and almost like vibrating, and this pink fleshy creature just absolutely just manifested right between the two of us, and I am smashing myself up against the door, like, okay, I believe you, I see you, and it really shook everything up in me to be like, this is a real thing that's happening right now. And to skip a whole bunch of stuff, she comes to, she's like, what was that? What was that? I'm like, I don't know, but it showed itself. And I described it, and she said that's what it looked like, from her perspective as well. And go back to our shared apartment. She's trying to read everything that she can on the subject, but it's English as a second language for her.
Right,
so
right.
She never liked to read English, and she's like, get one of your weird friends on the phone. I want to talk to them.
Get
I'm
one
like,
of your
oh my
weird
gosh.
friends.
Yeah, so it was crazy. But so, and then we're like, okay. And up until this point, I had been experiencing shadow people. I'd seen them. I'd seen it all from another friend. It seemed to happen to me because it happened to her. And so we're sitting, me and Samantha, we're just like, things calm. And I'm just like, wow, that was incredible. Like, yeah, it was. want to see if you can do it again? And she's like, yeah, I want to see if I can do it again, you know? And thus began this whole, like, you know, we're college kids. We're like, okay, being, you know, can we get the lottery numbers? You know, and
right.
we're asking stupid questions. And this being that's speaking through my friend, by the way, it's just the strangest thing. This being is like, you know, most of the questions that we would ask, it's telling us it would not benefit you to know that answer. And I'm like, if I told you what planet I was on, you wouldn't know where it is. You would not be able to reach it anyhow. If I said this, if I said that. And I'm like, my gosh, everything we're asking is getting squashed the same way. And then I just like grew tired. You know, this is after several attempts. I started sharing some dreams I had. And one of them was I saw the moon coming really close to the planet Earth, and it looked like it was going to hit us, right? And that's when this large UFO showed up and pulled the moon at such an angle it didn't hit us. So I'm sharing this dream with this voice coming from my friend because he's not answering anything anyhow. And I'm like, I had a weird dream. And that was the first time that we got an answer. And he said, well, the darkness in your planet was pulling the moon towards the Earth. We saw what was happening, and we moved the moon. And I was like, the darkness? What are you talking about? And he said, you call them shadow people. We call them shadows. And that was like the whole introduction to getting answers to what it is I had been experiencing for so many years, and to the whole connection to the alien phenomenon. I would have never guessed I would have got anything from this connection. But right. And it's funny because I don't get to always go into how this came to be. People are like, oh, so you're one of the top researchers on the Shadow People Hat Man phenomenon. I'm like, no, I actually am the person that named, defined, told you how to get rid of them, and ended up trademarking them because people were putting it all out of whack, essentially, and putting out the wrong info.
Right,
and glorifying
as people do.
Stuff. Yeah, and glorifying this dark stuff. Doesn't mean they're not stopping, you know, so it's crazy. But it causes harm. It's not okay. And but it's like I tell people, think about this. I am in college. Do you think I'm a therapist now. Do you think I had time to sit there and research a subject nobody's ever heard of?
Right.
I gave it. How could I do that? I was like, I got this information from a being, and they're like, oh, well, that's, like you said, must have been a possession. And they poo-pooed so much of it, but they grabbed onto the Shadow People Hat Man thing because, lo and behold, everything I was saying was true. It did spread worldwide, and it has gotten to a level that it is now. And
yeah, now it's kind of our pop culture now.
Isn't that wild? You know, it's like who would have thought? And just from me and my like coming up with something and to have the definitions and the method of getting rid of these things to stick and work came from an alien being. Now, that sounds like, you know, like you said, it crosses religious stuff, and it was. And I had a hard time with that because I had walked away from Christian thinking because I had experienced so many things from angelic to, I don't even know how to say, going to this heaven-like place because I was sick as a kid. I did that several times, and I still go to this place even though I'm not sick. It's wild. And just so many things, ghostly to demonic. And I'm like, I put in the Secret War book as I was writing it, if Jesus were around, I think I would have seen him by now because I've seen so much, you know, how cocky of me, you know. But it was to that point. And again, I didn't fully grasp what it was I was dealing with. But now today, they're talking about interdimensionals in Congress, interdimensional alien beings. How about that? But you poo-pooed the people who brought it up to the Capitol to get you to take this serious.
Yep.
And they are. And they have been all along because I've had military abductions. If I was so wrong, why did they mess with me?
Right.
Why did they come and interrogate? Why would I get approached secretly by some very big names and by some very big corporations that are government run? I mean, what is that? Asking questions about just the craziest things. The whole battle between good and evil. What's going on with this whole thing? Where are the beings? I mean, oh, but this is all hush hush. We're the ones that have the answers, but they make the deals to try to get their little toys and weapons going. But to really understand what's going on, because I'm sure, well, I know that some of these people in the government are getting threatened by these beings, and I know that they feel it in their soul, literally.
Well,
So,
that being said, I mean, first of all, you said, they came to you and said that we have the ability to shoot them down now.
yes.
And also, from what I, have talked to people over the years, there are good and bad beings
Yeah.
that come. So are the shadow people, as we do with aliens, that, the Greys, the Nordic, the different types of aliens, are there different types of shadow people?
They can shapeshift. So you got the
Oh.
shadow cat, the shadow cloud, the shadow rodents.
Hmm.
Head and shoulder shadow is what I call that one that looks like its head is directly connected to its shoulders. Um, I used to call Hatman shadow, and this is why people will still say he's a shadow being, but he's not. I came back a few years later. I've been on the air so many different times, but I came back to redefine him because the narrative and what he really is didn't fit. And he can, yes, step out from the shadows and be solid, be real,
Hmm.
talk. You could feel his clothing, shake his
Wow.
hand if you wanted. I wouldn't want to.
No.
He has he has teeth, he has eyeballs. Yeah, he rides a horse sometimes. So, I mean, it's horrific. So he's very different, and I guess to clarify the connecting force between the aliens and the shadow beings, it's like, how does that even mesh? I put out this book. I wrote this book in '97, and it finally got published in 2001.
Right.
And before that, though, I'm in college again, so I'm sending it out to people who write books like this, who do radio shows like this. Because who else published these types of books were other people in the field already.
Mm-hmm.
So I spread it out. I'm like, there's something coming, guys, and they were just like, oh, give me a break. Um, really famous hypnotists too, like, oh, come on, and I was really trying, and it took a while, but the second that I got to speak about it and have that book out there, thousands of people from all over the world just filled my inbox and never stopped. Never stopped. So
Interesting. That's great.
yeah.
As in angels, even angels, we talk about guardian angels that, we call upon the gods to send and surround us, to protect us. You have, angel Michael, and then even Greek mythology, you have Thor and you have Zeus, all these different ones that had kind of assigned duties. Do you feel some of these, the hat people or the hat men and shadow people, do you feel like there's different purposes for each one of these shadows to present themselves to you or me? And is there an agenda that they're trying to present to us?
Yeah, and unfortunately, there's a horrible, there's a horrible agenda. I guess to go into more detail on what these things are about, because I surely, again, I had no clue, but it got explained to me, and also I recalled some elements too, that these things are essentially the boogeyman on your shoulder telling you take a left instead of a right. They encourage fights between you and your spouse. They encourage nightmares, anything negative that you can imagine.
Mm-hmm.
This is what they are made out of. It sounds so silly. It seems so cliche.
Right, right.
it's ridiculous. But now this is what I was told way back then, that essentially they were going to come at such a level. It's not just a possibility that you'll experience them, it's a threat, because they're getting more and more desperate as different things are essentially coming to a change. Time of change is what we're in. People are like, end of times? I'm like, I'm not a psychic. I can't tell you it's the end. I know we're in a time of change, and these beings have been here for a long time. And as the more positive alien beings described to me, which the one that I met in the car with my friend, that these beings have been going across the universe, taking over different planets. And they have a dark source. We people come from a light source. So these things naturally oppose. So you speak of the archangels and whatnot. There are said to be some dark ones out there, right? That fell from grace, and they are made from a different cloth, essentially.
Yeah.
And people say God made evil. I'm like, I don't personally don't think so. People can do evil; they have that free will. But I do know that there's a dark source that these things feed off from, and that there's dark things that could dribble off from us if we allow it to infiltrate us. These beings, the method that they took over different societies on different planets, different universes, different dimensions, whatever it is, they didn't just go and swoop in and grab them. They possessed them and got them to turn on each other.
Wow.
Kill their own brother. And as they did, they got two souls for one. So they got one to turn against their brother and take that one down with them. And what are we doing down here? They are essentially these beings that they took over on these different planets, as it was explained to me, grays, reptilians, any kind of being that is infiltrating your personal space, that's causing you harm. They're possessed. They're possessed by these same beings that they're following the same. They have different methods to an extent, but they follow along. Like, people are like, well, what's the connecting factor? We got aliens that are experimenting with us over here, or this type of thing there. And, sometimes they're seen together. And what is it? Well, the commonality is the ones that enslaved them, which is this dark force. And the head of that dark force comes in the form of Hat Man.
So he's the leader?
He is the leader. If there's any kind of order among thieves, right, there's no honor, but they do tend to listen to him. And that also includes, here, I actually have just pull this up, kind of give a better look. These are some of the beings. So you see this is the regular Hat Man. This type here, people say, oh, I saw a shadow being and it had a hood. They don't wear hoods. They're shadowy, Right. This is another form Hat Man could come in. This is head and shoulder shadow. And this is the Grim Reaper guy, but he's not a shadow either. But they all listen to Hat Man. They all listen to this guy.
Wow.
So, and again, what's that common force? If we got beings, alien beings that are being possessed essentially by these dark things, they do follow one. And it's crazy to say, but it's a sad and twisted fate that they were met with on their dimension, their planet. And, I've been talking about this for a long time, and I'm seeing people who are just discovering, did you know shadow people are related to aliens? You don't say. I had a UFO group for 15 years. I didn't come at this as a ghost hunter. Ghost hunters kind of took it and ran with it, but it took me a long time to convince ghost hunters, by the way, you're going to see a lot of these around haunted locations. And then when you're met with one, you're going to understand it's not human. Oh, you're just seeing the shadow of human ghosts, Heidi. No, I'm not. Wait till you meet one and then get back in touch. And it's like, oh my gosh, what is that thing? I'm like, well, this is what I'm telling you. It's not human. Never came from humans. Comes from a whole different place. and it's weird to call them alien, but
Right.
people are now reporting seeing them right alongside of aliens that are abducting them. I'm like, I know you would. So I
Wow.
mean, you think about it, what do they do that's similar to abducting aliens? Paralyze you, come at night,
Mm-hmm.
uh, make you have terrible nightmares. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there's a playbook, and neither of them like the name of Jesus. What, go figure. What is that? Why would they hate that? If that's an alien, why do they hate that name? What is it? What
That
is it?
is interesting to think about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just- and I'm curious because you said since writing the original book, you've had a lot of stories and messages from people that shared from all over the world, and I'm curious to have you noticed any like global patterns in these encounters, like similarities? And was there any one or two that stood out that maybe was a little different from the norm?
Yeah. Oh man. I don't see any difference in the patterns with these beings all over
Hmm.
the world and what they're doing to people, the way they stalk people, the way they size
That's
people up,
scary.
and people are like, oh, it's a watcher. Oh, it's my guardian angel because it didn't scare me. Oh my gosh. I'm like, what? It has an absence of light. Even that alone
Should
should let you
Yeah.
know it's not good. But people are doing their best to interpret and feel all strong and big and bad. And I'm like, I said, he's just still studying you. That's all. He's trying to find that weak spot. And when he gets his finger wiggled in there, he's going to scoop out some of your goods and he's going to cause harm. And when it happens, you don't want to be there. And so it's time to get rid of him. If he is consistently showing up, Hat Man, in your life or shadow beings, you got to clear out your space. You got to clear out your space. But as far as you would ask, what was it you're asking? Sorry, I was gone off on a tangent.
No, I mean the is there any, like, because like you said, all the
Oh, the
stories you've heard
patterns.
patterns, but is there any
Yeah,
unique ones where you're like that was a little different than?
yeah, yeah. So I had somebody. I want to say it was France. This is the craziest thing. Um, they shot Hat Man.
Shot him? Wow.
Shot him. They were out hunting, and there he was going in and out of this cave like system, and they shot him. Ugh, I get chills about this one. And they couldn't believe they went up to his body and he was laying there. And I was trying to get the language barrier. It's like, what did he look like? What fully, trying to get the details. They said it was just the strangest, it's so out of place. It's this man in solid black walking, running through the woods into a cave, and so he
Hmm.
wanted to prove to people, so he literally was dragging its body behind him, and it disappeared.
Wow.
It disappeared. And I'm like, how the heck? And they were so freaked out. They're like, how? I'm pulling him, and all of a sudden there's nothing there. And just so disturbing. I have chills on that one.
That sounds
Um,
very interdimensional right there.
it does. It really does.
Yeah.
And yeah, that one was not a good one. And I guess one that I've talked about for years. This one I just can't shake. Is Hatman having come after a small child, and
Mm.
oh gosh, there's so many of them. But this one was really awful. This girl, I want to say, I think she was like 7 years old or something like that, and she had her own bedroom, and her mother, and they had just had a recent divorce from her dad, and so they're in this new house, and she's like, there's this man in a black suit that keeps coming in my bedroom saying, I'm going to get you one time, one day or something. And she'd scream and run to her mother's bedroom night after night. And her mom got sick of it. And she started sleeping with the light on. Their bills were going up. Mom took off the light bulb, and she would scream even more and run back to her room. But then one night there was a party. And the mom said, go to bed. I'm going to have some friends over. And one thing she did, she took out that light bulb and she locked the door. Okay, so she wouldn't come running out and the party's going on. And she couldn't get, out of that room. And her mom came to check on her. And she had a bunk bed, right? And there's, 2 slats of wood to keep a kid from rolling out from the bed. And her body was through the slats of wood and her head was on the other side.
Oh, my God.
And she was hanging from it. Her mother screamed for guys from the party to break apart the bed. And they had to resuscitate her. And she came to and she screamed, "He got me. He got me," like just as he threatened every night. And mom let her sleep with her from that night on. And they moved. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So does moving help? Because that doesn't seem like, it seems like more of a personal thing than a personal space.
Yeah. It depends. It depends. Sometimes he is located. He's attached to the location.
Oh, okay.
Other times he will get attached to the person.
Yeah.
I think more than likely, usually they do move with the person.
That's scary.
Because if they're good eating, why give it up?
Right, right. If you taste good.
Yeah. Unfortunately, or he could send one of his minions too. And another weird question people ask: is there more than one Hat Man? And there is just one. There is just one, but he has others that are now, I guess you could say, putting the suit on. And that's a sad situation as well, because if people don't get rid of him out of their lives, it starts to take on a different pattern on its own. And there comes a point of possession. And if you happen to cross over during this infiltration into your life, you kind of assume the role as well. You work for him. And it's sad. There's a lot of sadness with it.
You said they don't like the name of Jesus. So let me ask you this. It almost reminds me of a vampire where you get the cross and hold it up and start in the name of Jesus and they back off or they feel burning. What is it about Jesus? Is it only Jesus? Is it God? Can you say God? I mean, what can you maybe talk about that a little bit deeper? I'm curious about that.
Yeah, sure. I'm biased because I am Christian.
Right.
And I use the name of Jesus. Now, I have good friends that are Muslim and Jewish, and I've told them use the name of God.
Right.
And that has worked for them. As far as, there being a difference in the approach for the different belief system, not really. I've had people that have all sorts of beliefs and these things will approach them the same way. And some of them, I'm really like for a loss for words, because I'm like, wow, you don't believe in God, but I know, use the name of Jesus, that he will come, and they do not like that name. And if you even have that source to think that, they respond to it. I've had people, probably one of the more incredible ones, a person that was paralyzed, because it tries to get you before you're aware that they're there and paralyze you fully, where you can't scream, you can't talk or anything. And you're seeing this beast coming, these shadowy things, or Hat Man is hideous, just hideous. Think of Pennywise from It. His teeth are like that. And it goes all the way up. Venom, you can think of all that.
Right.
It's disgusting. And I had a person who was absolutely paralyzed, thought they were going to die because was right there on your nose.
Right.
And they made the sign of the cross on the roof of their mouth with their tongue. And he left.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
I'm like, even to get that gesture, like,
wow.
It worked. So it's the faith the size of a mustard seed. If you felt that was going to do it, and it did, it's a matter of having no doubts in that faith as well.
Wow, that's pretty amazing, and I'm glad you said that, because I was going to ask for people that are experiencing this, or maybe experience this, I was going to ask what would be something that they could do to protect themselves, and I'm assuming that's one of the ways. And can you kind of give us a little bit of rundown of how to protect yourself, because you do teach people how to do that?
And I do it for free. A lot of people, come to my workshop to learn from me. Well, come on. Right. How much is the value of a soul? Come
right,
on.
Right.
It just irritates me. I'm like, no, if you ask me, I'm giving it. I put it in my books. If people write me, I send it to them, whatever. It's important to know, because they like to come at nighttime, though it's not always and only at nighttime. They like to get your guard down when your guard is down. So you have to bless your space. So when you are at ease, or if you are sick, if somebody's dying, they love to take advantage of these times, right? So you have to protect your space. And the method of doing that is starting from one corner of your home, the furthest from the front door, and going to every corner of your home to bless it. And it has to be methodical, and you have to get every corner. I'll tell you real quick, the method is, if you have a 2-story home, you do the basement first, top floor second, main floor is the last one. Go to the furthest corner on that floor, and you get I use my cross necklace and holy water or spring water, natural. Put it out in the sunlight for a couple of hours, say a prayer over it. It's holy for, you dip the cross in it, and literally put the sign of the cross, dipping the water, your hand in the water, and say a brief saying like, in Jesus' name, keep all negative things out. Do each corner, do the wall in between each corner, do each window, every cupboard, open it, every closet, and then you close the door to that cupboard or closet, and you seal it with that little splash prayer. As again, stand in the middle of that room, do it again. Make sure the door to your room is open when you're doing this, so what's ever in there can get out. Step out of the room, close it, and do the same blessing. Do the hallway to the next room, and when you finally have made your way to the main floor and that main door, open the door and say a full prayer, like, it's not welcome here, only Jesus' name, everything get out. Then you close the door and you seal it. It's important, if there's more than one person living there, to join in the blessing. But if they don't, you can still do it. And I wear the blessing on me because I did it with my cross. I never take mine off because these things hate my guts. And if you have a kid, I just told somebody today, imagine this, a 2-year-old is getting threatened. And they can't wear, they're so little, wear a necklace. You don't do that. So I told them, in your house blessing, use a cross that you can hang above their bed, and have them join you in blessing their bedroom. And sometimes people in the household, they don't want to do the blessing. Just bless your space, your room. Bless your car. Because I've had these things follow me to work, go after my patients. I had physical therapy once, went after my physical therapist.
Oh my God.
I mean, it was, and the therapist looked really uncomfortable one day. I'm like, you okay? And he finally told me what was going on, and I told him how to get rid of it, and he did, doing what I just shared. So,
wow. Well, so people out there listening, I would take that to heart and try some of these ways to keep yourself safe. Does negative help bring in shadow people? Because you know how unfortunately, America especially is going through a very big mental health crisis when it comes to, does this open doors for the shadow people?
Anything that's negative, conflicting, it absolutely feeds into them and makes them quite strong. We have a lot of political unrest going on right now.
Right. And
let me tell you, it's a playbook for darkness. It really is. And people are having near-death experiences, seeing the future. I have one of my closest friends is one of the top psychics in the country. And they all see this dark thing in the midst of this political unrest that will unravel us and have us killing each other. And we've already done that.
Right.
We're threatening it even. It's been ongoing. And people are like, I'm doing the right thing. And you call yourself a Christian. That's not Christian.
No.
I don't know any Jesus that would do that.
No, yeah.
So, and I worry for people's souls. Everybody's like, it's so bad. Hope it's the end of the world. And I'm like, we're going to lose too many people. We need to get a hold of these people that we know in our lives that we feel are being misled, misguided, and get them back to who they were.
Yeah.
I have friends that are so split. Their families don't sit together anymore. And I'm like, you are not promised tomorrow. And you're going to pass away with this in your heart.
Yeah.
That's terrible, because I know what the other side is like. I have had some odd things happen, and it's very real. And if you don't think so, even people in your government are, like I said, are talking about interdimensional beings. You have newscasters saying, I know what's going on. It's very biblical. It sure is. And I try not to be like a Bible thumper, but I try to tell people as logically as I can, this is the battle between good and evil. This is happening right now. I've had people who've called UFOs down through whatever method they do. Guess what comes in their lives? Shadow people hat, man. Why? Did they open themselves up to something? Did they not filter it? A lot of major problems going on with that. It's always good to discern. Like, we have a gut feeling for a reason. God gave it to us to judge what is going on here. Is this a good thing or practice to be doing? You have to realize we are a tasty vessel for a lot of dark things out there. And these blessings and all this stuff works against alien abduction and all the negative things, because they're all connected.
Right.
They're all on the same team. And it sounds crazy, but when I could tell you, and you could see, government people are talking about the same stuff. It's happening. It is here. People in religious institutions are very aware.
Yeah.
They are so aware. I am beyond. I know these people. Let's put it that way. And I am so irritated with just looking for those answers. No, you already have those answers. I don't know why they're slowing the roll of the process, but they are. And I just pray for them, because God's watching, and he's very aware. And again, here's somebody, I stepped away from, quote, religious beliefs. I don't go to church or anything like that, but I have common sense too. And I took great pride picking on my friends who went to church in college. You know, I'm not getting up early. And then to come full circle, because I personally had encounters with Jesus that changed everything for me.
Oh, wow.
And I was, it's like there's no other way to put it, but just to be painfully honest about what all of this stuff is connected, and how to incorporate it into your life without sounding like a lunatic. You know, talk on the level with people. Even in my book, The Secret War, I'd written the book. I had bashed the idea of people who saw Jesus in their piece of toast to their bowl of soup. It was ridiculous. I was like, come on, you know, I think I would have seen him by now. But I had to rewrite that part of my book. And I put my first experience in there that I had with him, because it changed so much in my perspective on here I am talking about, you know, the devil and some demonic creatures connected to alien abduction, and I was bashing Jesus in the same book. And my time that I was sitting there editing it for like 4 years till I finally got it published. And then I had an encounter with him. I wasn't looking for him. I wasn't looking for anything. And I was raised Methodist. That's like barely religious, you know. It's like, you know, I'm not like a Bible thumper or anything. And he popped up, and people are like, well, why you? You're not special. I'm like, you're right. But he did. And I think he saw I was a decent person about to make a big mistake when I was about to affect a lot of people on this topic of shadow people, Hat Man. I had no idea was coming.
I
So,
love that. Well, thank you for sharing
yeah.
your story. And I do want to ask one more thing, because we talked about biblical, and we know that in some ancient scrolls, they talked about the Anunnaki of the Mesopotamian mythology, about coming to Earth and bringing pretty much humans here as slaves to mine the gold and all this minerals that they needed to save their planet. In your research, when you started kind of putting your book together, how far back did you see, maybe in the Bible or in text or anything like that, how far back shadow people are somewhat mentioned? They may not say shadow people, but
Right.
how far back do you see this being or entity mentioned?
When it comes to negative things, evil things, I was told that sometimes talking about the past gets people stuck there and they're not learning today about what's in their face. So I was told to focus on current events, as a lot of people have dug back and say, Jinn, it's this, it's that. It's in the Bible. Anything that's negative or evil, absolutely, it represents these things. But I'll tell you a quick story. Oh gosh, hope I can remember this guy's name. Steiner? Yes, I think it's Steiner. Gosh, I can't think of his first name. But so somebody told me, sent me this image, right? And they're like, Heidi, what do you think about this bust, this face that was made, like sculpted by somebody? His last name is Steiner, but I can't think of it. But oh gosh, I can't think of it. Anthroposophy. He's the guy that started that. And this sculpture's name was Ahriman. And I said, oh my gosh, somebody made a really cool sculpture of Hat Man. That's his true form. Like, that's what his face really looks like. And my friend flipped out. She goes, Heidi, that's 100 years old. Steiner made that. And his name is Ahriman. I'm like, I was like, you are kidding me. I was like, I found you. Apparently, this Steiner was told 100 years prior that essentially the conversation of this being would come 100 years after his death. And it's been 100 years.
Oh, wow.
And here, yes, that's him. There you go. That is the true face of Hat Man. And it's on my website.
Rudolph. Its name's Rudolph Steiner.
There you go. Rudolph. Yes. And
that's scary.
Yeah, my friend just shared that image. I'm like, wow, somebody did a great sculpture of the real Hat Man. She goes, what?
Wow.
Like, that's him. And so it's 100 years. And, I'll tell you, I was passionate about putting word out there about these things, but it wasn't until I had the Jesus encounter where he told me to finish writing this book. And it was the Secret War book. And everything changed, because I gave up grades in college to not have to do public speaking, because I hated it. I was terrified. And now I do it because he said that he'd be there to help me with it. So every time, I'm like, you promise you give me the words, because I have nothing to say, so I'm holding you to it. So it's like, but honestly, if people have questions, if they're experiencing something, I always welcome them to go to my site. If they can't remember my name, they could go to shadowfolks.com. And I have a podcast on Coast to Coast AM called Dark Becomes Light. And they can listen for free on there, and or anywhere podcasts are at. And I welcome them to it, because we're all in this fight together. And
we are.
I hope people figure out there is a conflict in alien contact. There are good and there are bad. But the ones that are abducting are not good. If they ever abused you, not the good guys.
That's true. And take it from Heidi, who has experienced this and studied it and has written several books about it. So, Heidi, thank you again for coming on and being part of Truth Be Told.
Anytime.
Of course, you're going to be back because you have another book coming out eventually, in the next few months. So
Yes.
we want you to come back and tell us all about it.
I would love to. Thank you so much for having me. This is great.
Oh, of course. It's my pleasure. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Please like, share, and comment. We want you to subscribe to not only our YouTube channel, but go to Apple or Spotify and give us a like and share all those amazing shows and guests that we've had on our show for many years. And we bring hopefully the best of the quality of people that do the work for us, so we don't have to write the books and we don't have to do the research. But until next time, please take care of yourself and each other. And I'm Tony Sweet with Truth Be Told. We'll see you real soon.